Trinidad and Tobago, a twin island republic, is located at the southernmost point of the Lesser Antilles archipelago. As we progress towards becoming a digital nation, the technology sector will enable the achievement of many of our development goals. Like many other nations, the COVID-19 pandemic has accelerated the implementation of our digital agenda. Ensuring digital inclusion. All our citizens must be able to actively participate in a digital society. Through the removal of taxes on devices such as laptops and computers, the provision of 10,000 devices to students, and subsidizing of smartphones for persons with disabilities, those who need connectivity the most will be able to access it. More access centers will be opened in communities across Trinidad and Tobago in 2021. Building digital infrastructure. The government's plans for developing our digital landscape include bringing internet connectivity to underserved rural communities, and the government is also funding a free public broadband initiative, TT Wi-Fi, which provides free Wi-Fi access to the public at transport hubs, health facilities, and libraries across both islands. Creating a digital economy. Trinidad and Tobago's digital agenda will strengthen the ecosystem for e-commerce and support entrepreneurs in innovation and technology solution development through tax allowances for tech startups and new tech services. Connecting a digital government. With simultaneous e-identity management and interoperability projects underway, the government of Trinidad and Tobago aims to have citizens and government agencies more strongly connected to each other, resulting in better service delivery in areas of health, social services, housing, education, and national security. Protecting the environment. Our green ICT and work-from-home policies will further ensure more environmental benefits through reusing computer components, responsible e-waste disposal, reducing energy consumption, encouraging more smart building. Even as technology takes us towards a digital society, people remain at the center of all that we do. Now loading an exciting, innovative digital TNT.
Muy bien, le damos la bienvenida a Allyson West, que es la ministra de Administración Pública y Transformación Digital de Trinidad y Tobago. Welcome, Allyson. We hear you.
Thank you, Madam Moderator, and good day to all the fellow participants. The global pandemic hit Trinidad and Tobago on the heels of the collapse of energy prices. And as a country that is highly dependent on energy, it created a significant impact on the economy and on the society as a whole. Like a lot of countries, we instituted an almost full lockdown in March of this year, except for essential services. As we have continued to move away from the initial impact of COVID, we have begun to reopen the economy, but the borders remain closed except for very controlled movement in and out, and schools remain physically closed, although classes have started back virtually. But with all the challenges presented by COVID, what it has presented for us is a significant opportunity, an opportunity to acknowledge the importance of digitalization in our society, an opportunity to refocus on that digitalization, to channel it in a more holistic way to produce a society that can function in the midst of future COVIDs and other challenges. So that what I will deal with this morning is some of the initiatives we have embarked on and will embark on to get us to our goal of full digitalization in the shortest possible time. So one of the areas that we focused on is digital inclusion. And if we can move to the next slide, we can look at some of the initiatives. Once again, can you move? Keep going. Right. Some of the initiatives that we have introduced to ensure digital or promote digital inclusion. In September, the government removed all taxes on mobile and digital equipment, mobile phones, software, computer accessories, and peripherals. Devices are now in the hands of students who need it because, as I indicated, we are doing schools virtually, and therefore children who didn't have devices to participate actively in education online, we have put programs in place to provide them with these devices. The Universal Service Fund, which is a fund contributed by the telecommunication services in Trinidad and Tobago, contributed 10,000 tablets to our students with data SIM cards. The Ministry of Education is contributing 20,000 laptops. And we have also got the corporate citizens involved and very excited in helping our students as well. So they are also contributing to the provision of devices to our students to ensure that every student has a laptop or device and therefore is not left behind as we move forward with their education remotely. In March, the government, through the telecommunications regulator, provided additional free spectrum to all service providers in Trinidad and Tobago. This was to allow them to ensure that they could provide the increased coverage that was needed by Trinidad and Tobago to allow work and school to continue virtually. And they have done an excellent job in translating this free Wi-Fi into increased and proper, more reliable service of broadband. Provision of broadband. Service providers in turn work to ensure that the spectrum distribution to support the traffic was implemented. They also facilitated citizens who were, some of whom would have lost their jobs, who were on temporary vacation or whatever from their jobs. They also facilitated them by delaying disconnections for people who could not afford to pay their bills because of the increased economic challenges brought on by the COVID. They also provided more affordable packages for those people who could continue to afford to pay for their services. In Trinidad and Tobago, we already enjoy high levels of internet access. We have at least an 82% fixed internet household penetration, and mobile phone penetration is at 158.6%. And what we are doing is seeking to ensure further connectivity. So our free public Wi-Fi initiative, TT Wi-Fi, will provide broadband Wi-Fi in high traffic areas. We have already started this program, and it now includes access on buses, terminals, some libraries, and we are expanding this further. During the course of this year, we propose to add another 60 locations where free Wi-Fi will be available. We have also built TT Access Centers, which are physical amenities in underserved areas, which provide training in IT, printing, scanning services, and free Wi-Fi. An additional 14 centers will be added. We are particularly pleased by the fact that these centers are used by the elderly, who tend to be left behind in digitalization because it is not something that they grew up with, not something that they know how to use generally, and so they're usually left behind. But with the provision of these centers, we see a lot of our elderly going to the centers to learn how to use the devices and what services are available. So we're particularly pleased by that, and the centers are also used by a lot of students. So government is also providing free portable Wi-Fi devices to aid those students in particular in areas where the internet, we don't yet have broadband coverage. None of these initiatives that I just mentioned would have been possible without strong collaboration. So what we see is collaboration among relevant ministries within the government. In particular, my Ministry of Digital Transformation collaborated very closely with the Ministry of Education to ensure that the schools have the Wi-Fi, that the children got the devices, and so on. We also had very significant assistance from our telecoms service providers, and as well from the corporate citizenry who really came on board and responded to our call to assist our students to get the devices that they needed. So we are hoping to continue this spirit of cooperation as we move forward into the digital space. So Trinidad and Tobago aims to achieve a digital nation by ensuring the ubiquitous use of technology by all our citizens in their everyday lives. In terms of good practices for economic development, I wish to highlight the following. Can we move to the next slide, please? Growth in digital commerce. COVID has forced an acceleration in the local adoption and use of technology. I am truly amazed at the growth in e-channels of the micro, small, medium, and large enterprises in Trinidad and Tobago. A number of online apps and solutions have been developed, as we can see on the next slide. Excellent, thank you. Several delivery services, for example, for food and clothes and other supplies like medicine, through companies such as Drop TT or Skip the Line, complement either telephone ordering or online ordering. E-payments have increased in frequency and use. We have a company called WePay that is born in Trinidad but serves the Caribbean, that is incorporated into the provision of services in the courts, for example. So individuals, couples who separate or divorce, who are due maintenance payments or alimony payments, can now get their payments electronically and so on. And we are seeking to spread that availability of electronic payments and receipts across government and across the country on a whole. Services to order agricultural produce online and in some cases make payments have the to produce delivered. Supermarket and pharmacy apps for contactless groceries, supplies purchasing and pickup. We have seen increased promotion and online presence of businesses, janitorial, plumbing, electrical, beauty services, etc. We have online markets for clothing, accessories, shoes, etc. using Facebook has also significantly increased. Online applications for insurance companies, e-payment systems in banks to manage in-person traffic. The infrastructure for all of this digital economic activity has been laid for quite a few years now. We enacted legislation for electronic transactions in 2012 and electronic funds transfers since the year 2000. As digital transformation continues apace, our digital nation policy and agenda will strengthen the ecosystem by ensuring updated legislation. We have a cyber crime bill to progress through our parliament. And in terms of consumer protection, we continue to work with our Ministry of Trade, Customs Division, and the Trinidad and Tobago Bureau of Standards in terms of improving the ease of doing business within Trinidad and Tobago. Trinidad and Tobago is also seeking to develop our ICT sector. And while we are heartened by the exponential adoption of technology and the boost to digital commerce, what we want for the medium to long term as we build better and stronger ICT activity is a viable ICT sector. We cannot remain as consumers only to tech and tech services. We must become producers of tech devices and, more importantly, providers of tech services. This is important for economic diversification and foreign exchange earnings. So, immediate initiatives are presented on this slide. We have we've recently introduced a tax allowance of $150, 50%, capped at $3 million for businesses investing in tech startups and new tech businesses. We have a similar allowance for businesses engaged in technology solutions and digitalization, and another allowance for businesses which create employment in the technology industry, particularly for young people. A project with the International Telecommunications Union for the development of a digital innovation and competitive ICT ecosystem for Trinidad and Tobago. Earlier this year, we conducted an app development workshop targeting 12 to 15-year-olds, and we will continue with these initiatives. Through our organization, FinTech, we issued an e-money issuer order earlier this year that allows persons other than banks and financial institutions licensed by the central bank to issue e-money. We are moving to a cashless economy. If we can move to the next slide. So the final the group of initiatives I'd like to share with you relate to good practices for digital government. So 3 of the critical public services where digital transformation has taken place are in respect of social services. 173,569 of our most vulnerable persons in society have been impacted by the COVID pandemic. This encompasses senior citizens, persons with disabilities, and families with reduced income. All of these persons received income, food, and rental support services through integrated service delivery supported by our ICT platforms. In respect of education, online learning platforms have been providing access to subject material for early childhood, primary and secondary students, as well as practice papers for primary and secondary examinations. Approximately 955 courses are available, over 158,000 active online students. Our tertiary level students are also enjoying their education or continuing their education online. In respect of health, telemedicine was activated to monitor home quarantine patients, approximately 1,146 patients by the county medical officer in health offices, and we are developing and promoting this program of telemedicine. In an effort to improve efficiency in providing these public services, we will implement a digital identity and an interoperability project in 2021. We are determined to become a digital government in the shortest possible time. In the first instance, the National Digital ID and Interoperability Platform will be used for government service delivery. However, in the long term, we envision that the citizen will be able to use the digital ID to transact business with the private sector as well. In closing, I thank you for the opportunity to share the good practices of Trinidad and Tobago. Thank you for the opportunity to hear and learn about the good practices across Latin America and the Caribbean. We are particularly eager to ensure that we learn from both your successes and your failures, so we don't repeat the latter. Trinidad and Tobago is ready. We give our commitment to collaborate with you to enable connecting, conducting business easily, and improving lives in the region. Together we can, and together we will use digital transformation to build better and stronger economies and societies. I thank you.